Hello, welcome to our garden. Today is 4th of February and there's been a few changes since my last video. I put a little short up because I fancied being daft. I have put my peas in the gutter. So last year I tried this, mixed success, mainly because I just decided to keep using it for greens and they died back. This year I'm changing my design in my garden. I'm using some of the lower beds I tried using last year for the corn, for beans and peas this year. So I've got the ability to put a nice 2 metre long length of peas. I'm going to put a couple of little TP style sections up with bamboo for the beans. So I thought I'd get this all set up now. I'm already remembering why it was an issue, because it drains so quickly because of the compost I use. So I'm going to use something different this year and I'm just going to top it up in the next few days. I just need to go and get the right compost for it. So today, I've got quite a few things growing already now. I've got my radishes all coming along nicely, saved the strawberries, I've got a number of garlic all up, got some salad in, which is doing surprisingly well, truth be told. So they're looking good. I'll start pricking them out soon into their own little tubs ready to plant. I've got my broad beans are now in a little propagator in the greenhouse so they can start off, so I can get ready to put them out at the end of the month hopefully. They're fairly hardy, so it shouldn't be an issue. Plan for today though, companion planting. So last year was the first year I started doing this. I tried using a plant called Elysium. It seems to be doing quite well still, so I'm leaving that in the strawberry bed. I noticed quite a few hoverflies attracted to that, so that's good. Hoverflies being good because they're a predator insect, so they'll eat things like aphids. But the insect I wanted more was the ladybird. Now I also planted a lot of nasturtiums. Now nasturtiums were good because all the cabbage white butterflies that come around here, because we have a lot of buddleias, they beelined for that and left the brassicas alone, which is good because it's nothing worse than going out to get a nice bit of kale and noticing the plant's completely eaten to shreds because the caterpillars have grown up and munched a lot of it. So I've had a little look online at what other people do, and I think I've found one that I'd quite like. So let me bring you to my seed box. So, I might say I've been down the garden centre again. I did tell myself I wouldn't, but I've got some more red barons, red onions, and I got myself a little bit more garlic as well. So the French one we'd already seen. I picked up some Casablanca. Oh no, sorry. No, these were from B&M. Can't remember what it was I wanted in there. There's something in this box, I'm sure. But yeah, so I got these. So a little bit of extra garlic won't hurt. So the way I've done my seed box is I've literally put like melons and when to sow. Simple as that. Anyway, right. Back to the reason why I'm in here. Flowers. So one of the main things that I didn't have last year, as I just said, was I didn't have an abundance of ladybirds. Now, ladybirds are marvellous because they just decimate all of the things which I don't want in my garden. I still like the butterflies, so I'm not going to get anything that's going to attack them, although the birds did enjoy themselves and get their fill last year. But aphids, they just infuriate me. So, got nasturtiums. I'm not going to plant them just yet. To be honest, the bed that I've got ground level along the side of my fence has got so many seeds in it now from last year, I don't think I'll ever need to plant them again. But the yellow Elysium didn't take off last year, so I'm going to plant some more of that up today. And the other one is calendula. Now, I think this looks fabulous, but in addition to it looking nice, it's also going to do me wonders when it comes to bringing in some of the more aggressive insects that are going to help me. So I'm going to be planting a few of these up today. And not today, but I'm also going to be planting these up as well. They're Mexican hats. And the simple reason is it was 50p on offer, but they also look absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to plant a few of them up alongside some of the beds to grow up the side of it, just to give a little bit more colour and a little bit more difference in the garden. So that's what we're going to plant up today then. Some of these seeds are a bit fine. This is the compost I have been using. You can see it's quite fibrous. There's still a fair bit of wood chip in there. It's not had as long as what some people would like it to have, and to be honest, myself as well. So I've actually bought some compost in. Now, this is my favourite compost. This is my personal opinion, but Jack's Magic. Excuse the mess. I've really got to sort this greenhouse out. But this stuff is fantastic. The colour and texture of this stuff is just so smooth that it's brilliant for small seeds. Anything bigger, like for example the broad beans, they're absolutely fine in stuff that's thicker. They're quite a hardy little seed. But this stuff is brilliant for the smaller seeds, like my flowers, for example. So what I'm going to do, take a load of scoops of this, just going to run it through the sieve, make sure there's no larger parts in, pop it to the side, and then I have propagator just here. Obviously I'm not going to be filling this up today, but I will be doing a couple of rows of each of the flowers. And yeah, oh yeah, the radishes are all doing well, so that seems to be working. I'll make sure I keep doing that in the coming years. And then I've got some garlic in there, which is just garlic from the kitchen that's all sprouted. I thought, just pop it in some tubs. I'm sure it'll be okay somewhere, and at least I'll get some green garlic. Right, I'll set the camera up and I'll show you how I'll do this. Okay, right, off screen, I'm just literally scooping up the compost and just popping it in the sieve. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is with smaller seeds, they obviously are going to be sending out their roots and doing all these sorts of things, and they're going to find it difficult to get through anything solid, especially some of the more delicate ones like the Elysium, for example. So I just want to fill the sieve up, and I mean this compost is clearly sat for some time because there's loads of very solid chunks in it anyway. Whereas my greenhouse seems to be getting more and more filled with different types of compost. I've got ericaceous compost, I've got fine compost, I've got Jack's Magic, which is just absolutely stuffed filled with additional nutrients, which is brilliant. I've got some cheap cheap B&Q compost as well, which I'm just using to bulk out some of the spent compost from last year. Because all I do with that, so like the tomatoes and the watermelon and things, obviously remove the plant itself, leave the roots in, pop it all in a wheelbarrow, add a bag of normal compost, and then a good couple of handfuls of some blood and bone, mix it all together, and then we've got a nice big wheelbarrow full of good compost. Right, so just break this up with your hands, make it a little bit smoother, try and break up the chunks as best you can. I think this is the child in us. It's just, love it, playing with a bit of mud. And then literally just going to sieve it through this. This isn't the finest of sieves, but I don't need it to be teeny tiny. But as you can see already, it's just absolutely lovely. So, get it all through there, break up the clumps that are appearing. But yeah, I mean, you get occasional sections like this in this compost, but I don't know. I'd love to know how they do theirs, because it's just so far apart from the other ones that I find. But any fine compost will do fine for little seeds. Right, those bits I'll just leave to that side. Hang that up under there. Do this all to the back. Right, now propagator. Just want to do 2 rows of each, brush it off. Now you don't want the soil to be too compact, but you do want a little bit of firmness, because ultimately when I put water in this, it's going to sink it all back down anyway. So just patting it down. Now, this is my first year doing calendula, and I am quite excited. The plant's supposed to grow just shy of a metre tall. I believe this one was a dwarf variety, wasn't it? Oh no, that's the other plant. And the seeds, they look like cashews, like really small cashews. But yeah. Now what I'll be doing, first 2 rows of these, I'm going to be popping 2 per cell. Now the main reason for that is because I'm inexperienced with these. I have seen from what I was looking at, you only need 1 per cell, but because I've not done it before, I have no issue with just pricking out the weaker of the 2 plants from each one once they've sprouted. But what I don't want is loads of cells filled with with seeds that haven't actually gone and done their thing. So 2 per cell seems fine by me. They're quite chunky little seeds, but the flower itself, the plant itself, from what I could see, looked relatively delicate. So do that. Now the Elysium is incredibly delicate. It almost looks like a grass, but the smell from it is lovely. It's almost like a honey, really. And I don't have too much left of this, actually. Well, that's a shame. Now these seeds are tiny. Try not to spill any. I don't even know if the camera is going to be able to pick these ones up. It'd help if I could see where the camera is, but you can see they're very, very small. So for these, I am just going to be putting 1 per cell. Once this plant takes off, like it has done with the white anyway, it is quite sizable. It seems to just push itself out more and more. A little bit like lavender. It's a bit of a pain to get it started, but once you get it started, it just doesn't seem to stop. I've got a few spare, so I will double some of these up. Just on this row. Again, I'll prick out one if I need to, but with this stuff I don't think I'd need to. So there you go. So that's all in, and then with the fine soil, I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit more over the top. Pat it down a little bit. Now I did find something quite funny the other day, where I did a video on some seeds, and then a few days later I went out to the greenhouse and I looked at this tub. I remembered I planted several different plants in that, but I couldn't remember for the life of me what on earth I planted in each side. So it's quite useful having these videos to go back to. Right, and then we're going to activate the seeds. We need a little bit of water, not too much, but because this is a propagator tray, it's actually got a water basin underneath it, so any excess will just flow into that anyway, so that's not really an issue. Right, now apparently germination takes, for the Elysium, takes about 2 weeks. I don't know what it does for the calendula. Let's see. Keep putting my hand over there, don't I? No, it simply just says when large enough to handle. Oh no, 5 to 10 days. 65 to 70 Fahrenheit. Fair enough. Well, it's going to be in the greenhouse. If it doesn't germinate straight away, then that's absolutely fine. As long as it gets germinating and it's up by the end of the month, then I'll be happy chappy. And then literally all that's going to be needed further to that is the lid. But before I do that, I need to write out my labels. It does feel like things are now starting to pick up. So as a quick whiz round, we've obviously got what we've just planted, all nicely labelled now, so I won't have to watch back on the video to figure out which one's which. Peas have started coming up, although we do seem to have a bit of mould appearing. Now I have noticed on a few of the bits that I've been growing in the propagator inside, it turns out I have got mushrooms growing on it. So I'm not sure how that culture's managed to get in there. It must have been from the bought in compost, I would have thought. But yeah, so we've got salads. This is the broad beans. So I'm not doing a huge amount of fava beans this year, but I'm doing a few. Various of radishes. So they're all coming up. They're actually just straight up pushing the soil onto each other now, which is not ideal, but they'll be fine. We've got the garlic, all the strawberries over there. And I may have, oh yeah, that was the other thing. So I wanted some Desiree potatoes. Don't know where I'm going to plant them. Might not even be able to, but pick them up. But they're all in here nicely. And then for another video I'm making, which I shan't be putting out until I grow it, but yeah, I have ginger. And it is in a washing up bowl. We'll see if I can make this work or not, but yeah, I have to wait and see. So for the rest of the day, I am going to be doing some sorting out in the garden. I've got to finish sorting the beds out. I've got to get all that compost sorted from all the spent soil. Most of that, I'm actually going to be putting on a couple of my low-level beds. They are really sort of in need of some extra nutrients. So I'm going to be popping them in there ready for March, April time when I get all the peas out in the ground and the beans in the ground. And hopefully that'll give it enough time to really take off. As I keep saying, this year is my intention to actually grow a good amount of food for the family, see if I can actually use my garden to save a little bit of money when it comes to my shopping. I'm keeping a running total at the minute of all expenses when it comes to the seeds, the compost. Haven't needed any extra bamboo yet this year. I'm trying to use all the raspberry canes that I've cut back. See if we can use that in a more cost-effective way. Try changing some of the soils for some of the berry plants, so they're now in ericaceous soil. See if that makes a difference. But yeah, and hopefully by the end of the year, I'll be able to do a nice little total of everything spent and everything harvested. We'll see if that works. Anyway, thank you ever so much for joining us today. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. If you did enjoy this, then please do like and subscribe. We'll see you on the next one.